Sylvia wore a ridiculous hat, a nest of peacock feathers poking from the brim like tiny swords. It was well known Sylvia liked things to run smoothly, a vain hope, given the recent folderol in the Society's northern branch. What had begun as a disagreement over protocol had spiraled into a vicious orgy of recrimination and backbiting, splitting into two camps, each representing a different philosophy of how the group should be run. "Lady de Bourgh has spoken," Farnsworth whispered. Erin gave her a poke in the ribs. Sylvia Pemberthy was one of the wealthiest people in Kirkbymoorside, the picturesque village nestled along the southern border of the North York Moors National Park, and lately one of the most unpopular. Farnsworth had a point. Sylvia's imperious nature was reminiscent of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, so perhaps she was not the best person to smooth ruffled feathers. As the society had splintered into factions, the atmosphere had become more fraught with each meeting. Old rivalries were coming to a head at a time when decisions needed to be made about the branch's future. Erin noticed the conspicuous absence of Sylvia's husband, Jerome, an aloof history teacher at University of York. Rumours had been swirling for weeks that theirs was a troubled marriage. "Now then," Sylvia said, the pompous peacock feathers on her hat bouncing up and down as she spoke. "If everyone would just settle down, we could begin." "You'd think she was running this meeting," Farnsworth whispered to Erin, who gave her friend a poke. "Shh!" Sylvia's ascent to power was as contentious as her reign had become. She had a knack for making enemies, but Erin thought anyone in her position would have drawn fire from the membership. As branch president, Sylvia represented the old guard, conservative, mostly moneyed members who liked to dot their I's and cross their T's. The so-called modernists felt the old guard were hopelessly mired in rules and protocol, but it was deeper than that. It was a matter of world-view. The old guard were the same people who'd voted for Brexit. Feelings around the British exit from the European Union were high, and what had begun as a local squall had turned into a typhoon. "You have to start a bloody petition round here just to go to the loo," Farnsworth muttered, shifting her heavy body in the narrow metal folding chair. "Quiet, please," Sylvia hissed. "If the chairperson could get organised, we could get this meeting started," she said, coldly eyeing Jonathan Alder as he pulled some notes from a battered leather briefcase. "He's only a few minutes late," Erin pointed out. Sylvia exploded. "That's it. I will not stand for insubordination in the society, and you can either attend meetings on time or not at all," she added, glaring at Jonathan. "Have you ever listened to yourself?" said Farnsworth. "You sound like a bloody harridan." "You should talk," Sylvia snapped. "Everyone in town knows you're utterly pathetic." Erin's forehead burned with anger at Sylvia's treatment of her friend. She opened her mouth to give Sylvia a piece of her mind, but was interrupted by Prudence Pettibone. "Those who do not complain are never pitied," Prudence proclaimed in her nasal voice. The lugubrious society treasurer, Prudence was known for interjecting Jane Austen quotes into the conversation whenever possible, often at the least opportune moment. Sylvia wheeled around to face her. "I'll thank you to keep your thoughts to yourself," she sputtered, sending droplets of saliva into the air, some of which landed on Prue's face. Prudence Pettibone was a small, ungainly woman. With her dull brown hair and rumpled, ill-fitting clothing, she could pass for a vagrant. Erin winced at seeing her suffer the indignity of being pelted by Sylvia's flying spittle. "You can't just treat people like—" Erin began, but was preempted by the Very Honourable Reverend Motley, a portly, unctuous man, and All Souls' long-time minister. Having entered the room moments before, he interrupted Erin mid-sentence. "It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do," he opined in his plummy, sententious voice, locking his thumbs together in front of his black cassock. He wore it long, in the manner of the lead actor in the popular television series Father Brown, with a row of shiny brass buttons down the front. Erin found it pretentious, and an obvious attempt to camouflage his substantial girth. Not even Sylvia dared take him on. The society met in All Souls' capacious community hall, solely through his beneficence, and challenging Father Motley would risk their losing a convenient and free